Today, I'm finally taking my girlfriend on the overseas trip I've always promised her, but it's not Euro summer, it's Tassie winter, and I'm taking the four-wheel drive with us. So come along for the ride as we explore the wild state of Tasmania.
All right, so we're just about to go and get on the Spirit of Tasmania. Now, I haven't got Paddy with me this time. I've actually got a new addition to Aussie Arvos, I guess. This is my girlfriend, Sean. So she's going to be accompanying me on this trip, which I'm very glad to have her here. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. So we're going to go through the little checkpoint here, and then in a very short time, we'll be loading up onto the Spirit of Tassie. We're moving on. Now, because we're in the tall car slot, we're being put on the bottom, so we don't get to drive up the little gantry bit. Yeah, we're on the bottom deck. We're in the hull. So we'll be going down first if the ship sinks, pretty much. Oh, look at that. It's not actually that big of a boat.
No, it's not as huge as you think it is.
Nah, it's not that big. You can see why you'd feel the swell. Oh, fit and easy, 2.92 meters.
So we parked the patrol up in the hull of the ship and then went to find our cabin.
Oh my God.
Wow. What a nice cabin we have.
Don't leave much to the imagination, do they? We're going for a bit of a walk around the ship, just seeing what it's all about. Lovely evening.
Yeah, it's very nice.
That's plan B.
After having a good look around the ship, we then made our way to the dining area where we would have a lovely buffet meal. A nice cold boat beverage capped off our night, ready for the next day.
Made it back to the car. Oh, good thing we weren't parked behind a Land Cruiser, because it would have rolled into us. But we're in. Alright, so we're on mainland Tasmania. We're currently in Devonport, and you get off the boat super early and it's still dark, so we decided to come out to, I think it's called Cape Mercy, or Mercy Cape Lighthouse, and we've got a pretty wicked sunrise happening, so it's very nice.
Very cold.
And apparently one of us didn't get much sleep on the boat last night.
Alright, so we've left Devonport, we're working our way up through the mountains. We're actually heading towards Cradle Mountain. It's meant to be really awesome, although I think it can be a bit weather dependent. So obviously, being the time of year, it is very cold at the moment, and we've just now come into a really big patch of fog, which isn't great for scenic views, but it is what it is. So we're going to go there anyway, and we'll see what it's like when we get there, I guess. Alright, we pulled up at the car park at Cradle Mountain. It's actually pretty packed out considering the weather today. It's a fair bit clearer though up here on the mountain, so we're just getting now some warm gear on because it's pretty chilly. Should be good. Hopefully we can see some stuff. Hopefully there's some sort of views up there.
After passing through the mandatory boot cleaning station, we made our way onto the shuttle bus up towards Dove Lake.
Feeling like a proper tourist already.
Wow.
Oh, that's pretty specky. Alright, so we're here at Cradle Mountain. We've taken the shuttle bus to Dove Lake, and we're going to do the circuit walk track around Dove Lake. Because of the weather today, some of the sort of higher up walks probably aren't ideal. So this one's still pretty cool. You can get a good look around the lake as we walk around, and still see some of the mountain tops as we walk as well. So yeah, we're going to start in our clockwise walk around the lake. Should take a couple hours, so let's do it. Get out. Alright, is that like a brook trout? I think so.
Even in this crummy weather, the views around Dove Lake really are spectacular, and there's some great lookout points along the walk. And if you keep your eye out while walking around the circuit, there are a few different beaches and coves which you can go and visit too.
Alright, so about halfway around the Dove Lake circuit track. It's all going pretty well. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a pretty easy walk. Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cruisy. It's all on a boardwalk.
6
Nice.
Ks.
Yeah, it's pretty cruisy. So no, definitely a good one to do. Even if the weather's crap like it is today, it's still a nice walk. You can still see a lot.
Nice walking through the forest as well. Forest parts.
Yeah, lots of different variety of bushland as well, which is cool.
There are some sections of the boardwalk which they've had to make fit around the surrounding landscape, like this big rock here too, which is pretty cool to walk past. Even with the less than average weather we were experiencing, there was still so much to look at, and honestly, even with the cloud, the views were still awesome. Towards the end of the walk, you'll get a glimpse of some of the other surrounding lakes, but for us, it was back onto the bus and back down the mountain.
Alright, so just finished up at Cradle Mountain. We probably could have done a few of the other walks if we really wanted to, but the weather was getting pretty crap. The rain was setting in. So we've come back down and we're now heading further down the west coast, sort of towards Queenstown, and we're looking for hopefully a protected spot to make lunch and then a campsite. So we've got a few marked. So yeah, we'll keep trucking and then see what we can find. Yeah.
And after a very yum and successful lunch, we could turn off the blacktop onto an old track that would take us to our first campsite.
So we've managed to find a little backtrack, which hopefully is going to take us to a pretty awesome campsite that I scoped out on Google Maps. So I'm really excited to see if at the end, one, it's not taken, and two, how cool it is. So we're almost there. Oh, we've now done ourselves on this is the first night, and we got the sickest spot.
Oh, I'm so glad no one else is here.
Yeah, me too. That's a problem. Well, not the problem. If you do good camping, you get a really high standard for campsites.
Yeah.
And then as soon as something you have to stay somewhere crap, you're like, this sucks. This is a pretty sick spot.
Hell yeah.
Look at that. Railway bridge running across. Alright, so we've rocked up to our pretty awesome little campsite that we found, and it's time to set up the new camping setup. So we got the tent on and the awning. First time in the rooftop tent, haven't used it yet. So let's pop this thing and see just how easy it is. So I can't wait to sleep in this thing. So yeah, it's pretty simple. Just literally one latch, two latch, and up. I can see what all the rave's about. And then another latch here, and whoa. Great success.
High five.
Having everything easy to access and easy to set up just makes this type of camping so much more enjoyable. I'm really stoked I didn't have to bring the swag on this trip.
There you go, how easy is that? Oh, and then we can do the awning. Yep.
Oh my god.
What?
How far did it go?
Hang on.
Oh my god. It goes so far. What the hell?
It does.
Pretty cool.
That's so sick. If you like the bottom of that. You can walk along this old train line. I'm not really sure what the history is behind this train line, but it's abandoned, we know that for sure. And you can walk out along the bridge over your camp. It's pretty cool. Bro, does this feel kind of sketch, or is that just me?
Yeah, a little bit.
As it turns out, this bridge is called the Ring River Bridge, which was constructed around the year 1900 as part of a light gauge rail line that connected the towns of Zeehan and Strachan to the Emu Bay Railway. Constructed for transporting goods and materials from surrounding mining towns, the line operated successfully for decades but eventually became unprofitable and is now a remnant of what was once a booming area of Tasmania. We settled into camp that night with a warm fire and meal and got ready for what would be a cold night and then a big day tomorrow.
Alright, so just did our first night in the rooftop, and thoughts?
It's pretty comfy.
It's pretty comfy, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's because we had enough blankets in there, it was heaps warm, heaps of room. A little bit of condensation on the walls, but I think because I reckon it probably got down to like 2 degrees overnight, that's kind of unavoidable.
Yeah.
But just used the tea towel to wipe down the wall, so try to keep the bedding dry when we pack it up. But yeah, it went pretty good, I think. So yeah, we'll pack it up and hopefully.
So it's good again tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Oh, all right, there you go. Tent's packed up. Pretty easy. It's hard when your hands are freezing.
After a nice easy pack up, we were ready to move on to our next destination.
Alright, so our next stop is Queenstown. Now, it's a pretty awesome road in, there's some sick mountain views, and yeah, it's a pretty like cool windy road. Everything just feels like you're in the middle of nowhere, like in the wilderness. Like it's been a road just pushed through a forest, which it essentially has. So yeah, it's very cool. So there's a few cool things to check out in Queenstown, so we'll get into town and and we'll have a bit of a explore around.
Queenstown is a really historic town with plenty to look at. We were both super keen to go have a look at the West Coast Wilderness Railway, which is a tourist railway that navigates some amazing landscapes by rail. Unfortunately for us, there were no trains operating today, so it will have to be one for next time. From the Spion Cop lookout, you can hear the noise of machinery from the Mount Lyell mine that plagues the town for most hours of the day. We then climbed our way out of Queenstown via the steep and windy but spectacular road out of town. Our next stop was a little boardwalk at Horsetail Falls, which is honestly quite spectacular in how it's been constructed and the view over the falls itself.
Coming along the west coast down towards Mount Field, it's called. There's heaps of little stuff that you can stop and look at along the way, heaps of walks and lookouts, so we're doing our best to try and tick off most of them as we go, even though the daylight is fading. We figure stuff I don't need down here not so often. So yeah, this is Nelson Falls walk, nice and short one, but pretty cool.
Very pretty.
Oh, that is quite impressive. We're sort of driving past all like the hydro scheme stuff with all the different inland lakes. And there's like, I just drove alongside all the big pipes that carry the water uphill, and then up here is like the big aqueduct type thing. It's pretty cool. I tell you what, I got told about this before I came here by some friends, but some of the best scenic driving roads would have to be in Tassie. Like all the roads are Mickey Mouse, and you're just winding through like these hills, and like you can see super far into the distance, or you might be like in the mountains weaving through like forest. Yeah, there's absolutely awesome roads around here. Yeah, it's so different to what I'm used to back in Victoria, or even just in mainland Australia in general. It's just a different kind of environment.
We rolled into our camp at Mount Field a little later that night, so we got set up and ready for bed because we had an early start tomorrow.
Alright, it's the next morning. We had a very cold night at Mount Field. It was freezing. It wasn't raining, but it was just real cold. But this morning, the weather's good and we're heading into Hobart. We're going to go check out the, is it called Salamanca? Salamanca markets, which are only run on a Saturday, so today's Saturday. So that's sort of why we made our way fairly quickly down the west side. We wanted to come to Hobart. We're just sort of coming into Hobart now. So we'll show you what we can find at the market. It's meant to be pretty cool, so
yeah,
see what it's about.
Mix of things.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Bean.
Hi.
Alright. We're getting tempura mushrooms. First time trying a tempura mushroom with honey soy.
Nice.
Hot. I wasn't expecting the hot or the stick in the middle.
I didn't know there was a stick. That's kind of dangerous.
Yum. Alright, so I've heard about these before I came down here. The old scallop pie. We found a shop that does them, so we're going to get one and try it. So this is like those pie reviews you see on TikTok. First thing, the bum. Not too soft.
Bit of gold on there.
It's got a bit of seasoning on top.
Aww.
It was $11.
Oh, it has something. It has pies written on it.
Oh yeah, no, it does.
Something Smith's
It
pies
says
or something.
Yeah. Anyway, $11 of money, which for scallops is probably about right. So.
It's gonna turn into a video of you eating things. Powder.
It's got like a curry paste in it. That's yum. Yeah, confirmed.
Would recommend.
If you don't mind scallops, definitely try scallop pie in Tassie. Feeling like a tourist, Darren.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're giving big tourist vibes. Biggest tourist vibes.
She doesn't like tourists.
So after looking around the harbour of Hobart, we then headed out of the big city towards our camp.
Alright, so we just pulled up to camp. This is Fortescue Bay Campground. So it's paid camping, but it's on this particular, the Tasman region. There's not much free camping, so this is a pretty neat little spot. There's not too many people here, and there's the bay there, and yeah, it's all pretty nice. So we're going to set up the tent because I need it dried out. I've been dying to do some fishing, so I just rigged up the rod because we got the little bay right behind us. So hopefully You got old Slim Swim, we'll do the trick. See what we can do. Hello, little friend. Oh, we're going to the jetty. Oh my god, they're everywhere. Hello. I dropped it. Dropped a fish. We'll go again. Oh, it was only very small. It was hardly kicking, but. Oh, it's almost dark, but we got one. Tiny fish.
So unfortunately I didn't catch anything big enough to feed us for dinner, but we had prepared for that, so we chilled out by the campfire and cooked up a nice dinner. The next morning began with another cooked meal in front of the locals, and then we started packing up, ready for a big day ahead.
Alright, so this morning we've come straight into Port Arthur because it's like literally just around the corner from where we camped, like 15 minutes, which is handy. We're going to go to the historic site, which is like an old preserved area where they used to keep convicts. But upon arrival, we realised it was $50 a head for an adult just to get in to look around, and it's like a whole day thing. So we decided against it, and instead we're going to go to the coast and have a look at some of like the rock formations. There's like caves and blowholes and stuff, which is all pretty close by. So we're on our way there now, and we'll go check it out. Alright, we've just hit the coast for the first time, and it is really windy. Like, I reckon I can lean into the wind and not fall over.
Oh my god.
We came to check out the remarkable cave, which gets its name from the Tasmania shaped silhouette that can be seen through it.
We've come to suss out the tessellated pavement, which is like a little rock formation down by the water that it looks like it's been paved, but it's all natural. So the weather is absolutely abysmal. It is like shocking. It's like pouring down, it's windy as, it's freezing, but it is what it is, I guess. So we'll go see what this pavement's all about. So I don't know if you can see that from up here, but like all the rocks have like cracks running perpendicular to one another, so it's like this tile or paved. So yeah, pretty interesting. Alright, so we've rugged up because we're going to go do the walk to Cape Rao Lookout, which is like kind of one of the more southern points, really, straight over the ocean. So it's only like half an hour or so. So yeah, we'll see how we go.
We made sure to carefully remove any biohazards from our boots and then started walking towards Cape Rao.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
It does feel like we're on the edge of the world a bit.
Yeah. Alright, so we made it to the Cape Rao Lookout. As you can see, the conditions are pretty gnarly. Over this like edge here is like a wind tunnel over there. It's very windy, but it's a pretty cool lookout. See, that's like, yeah, Cape Rao down the bottom there, and then yeah, just the ocean straight out into the abyss. It looks like the rain's coming though, so that's kind of scary.
We then headed north towards Lime Bay, which would be our very wet and windy camp for the night.
Oh, self-projecting tent.
This looked like it was shaping up to be a rough night at camp, and the local wildlife didn't look too impressed about it either. But all we could do was sit back and wait it out.
And the weather, the wind's probably not going to be let off either.
So what are we going to do? Go swimming.
We're just going to, yeah. I need to swim, I smell a lot. So, but we're just going to have to wait out the weather. Hopefully the awning holds up. It seems pretty good. I got it all tied down, so it should be right. But we'll see what happens. At least with this crap weather and hard to get a fire going, this king cone blower is a godsend. This has, like, without this we probably would have been sleeping without or camping without a fire most nights. So very helpful. Oh my god. So it is currently very wet and windy, but we've got the trifecta of bad weather. It's really cold, it's really wet, and it's really windy. The fire is barely staying alight. Yeah, it's not looking good. Not looking like a fun night. This is the time you think, oh, we should have just got a cabin or something. Or you shouldn't have come to Tassie in the middle of winter. Probably would be the smarter thing. But anyway, it is what it is. So yeah, we're just gonna have to brave it out, I think, at this point. I reckon we'll just try get into the tent early as and just zip it all up and just stay in there, to be honest. So I think that's all we can do.
So we hid in the tent to wait out the weather till the next morning.
Alright, so we left Lion Bay. Didn't really film anything because it was so wet and crap. We just got up and got out. But today we're heading north towards Freycinet, or like Wineglass Bay, that sort of area. So hopefully stop at a few little places along the way, weather permitting. It's still terrible weather. So we'll just see how we go. We might not want to get out of the car, but yeah, we've got a few hours of driving ahead of us, so yeah, we'll get on the road and get going. We're in Coles Bay. We're making some lunch by the water. We think the weather's finally making a turn for the better. Looking at the forecast, it's going to be sort of like potentially only a little bit of rain, maybe a couple mil at most, and a lot less wind. So fingers crossed, if it stays like this, I'll be happy, because this is pretty doable.
After lunch, we were straight into looking for our next camp, which would take us to a cool little spot called Bluestone Bay via some awesome forest and bushland. Bluestone Bay gets its name from all of the smooth and round blue coloured rocks that make up the beach and are scattered around the area.
So we just had a look at Bluestone Bay quickly, which is just near where we're thinking we're going to camp tonight. Pretty rough seas, pretty gnarly sort of cliff edges, rock edges. But yeah, very cool looking. One problem with all these national park campsites, one, there's very few of them, and two, they pretty much all, you can't have campfires in them, which is kind of a bummer considering how cold it is this time of year. Just got to make do, I suppose.
Tonight's camp was at a little campground called Whitewater Wall, which was honestly really nice and peaceful.
I'll tell you what, being the first trip with the rooftop and a 270 awning, it is super easy to set up. Like, I mean, obviously I'm thrilled with the tent, but I've never had a 270 awning before, and I didn't realise how easy they are to set up and just how much space you get out of it all around the car. So yeah, and it really sort of transforms the whole camping setup of the car.
Once we were all set up, we went for a walk to check out the incredible coastline that can be easily accessed from camp.
Wow, deep ocean.
You can quickly see where it gets the name Whitewater Wall as the big swell crashes against the granite coastline. We then went back to camp to hang out with the very confident and local wildlife before setting into camp, ready for tomorrow.
Alright, so we've woken up to some much nicer weather. It's like dappled blue skies. It hasn't been raining that much. It's slightly windy, but it wasn't that cold. It's probably the best night's sleep I've had in the rooftop tent yet. And now we're having some brekkie because we've got a pretty good walk planned today to go look over Wineglass Bay. So we're going to smash some brekkie, pack up, and then we'll head on over there. Alright, so just come up on the way past, have a look at Cape Tourville Lighthouse. It's quite windy up here, as you can probably tell, but the views are pretty mad.
From the Cape Tourville Lighthouse, you can actually see Wineglass Bay, which is where we're heading next. But we had a decent walk ahead of us to get there.
We're figuring out pretty quickly all these Tassie walks are all very steep, and you think you're going to be really cold, and then you walk for like 5 minutes and you get too hot because you wore too many layers.
But before long, we made it to the Wineglass Bay lookout.
So we just come to the lookout at Wineglass Bay, and I didn't know why it was called Wineglass Bay, but Sian has just informed me. Tell them why.
So basically it's because there used to be whaling in the bay. So when they used to kill a lot of whales, all the blood would seep out into the bay and make it look red, like red wine. And in like the shape of the bay, made it look like red wine in a glass.
There you go. So the blood of whales is where it got its name.
The little boardwalk at the lookout is awesome to walk around, and there's some incredible scenery surrounding the lookout as well. But for us, it was down to Wineglass Bay Beach, which was a further 1.5 hours walk.
We made it to the beach.
Swim time?
Alright, so we've made it down to the beach in Wineglass Bay, and it I didn't think the beaches were this nice down south, but if it was a nice summer's day, this would be a wicked beach. Now, I don't surf, but I reckon if I did, I'd want to come to this beach. There's some pretty massive waves here, and like they're kicking up a big fuss when they crash.
That's what you said.
Here, watch this funny. Yeah, pretty big waves.
So after watching the waves crash against the sand for a bit, we then made our way back to the car to make some lunch. And what else would be on the menu than good old salad, sandwiches and wraps? You really can't go wrong with these things.
So we're just coming now, we've headed north towards, I believe it's Bicheno, or Bicheno. I think it's
Bicheno.
I think it is Bicheno. We were hoping to sort of find a free camp sort of in this rough area, but it's very strapped for free camping. There's not much at all in this area unless you go like another hour north. So who knows, you might have to settle for like a camp, like a caravan camp park type thing on an unpowered site, but we're just gonna suss. First we're gonna have a look around. There's a few little cool things to suss out around this area. So we'll go do some exploring. First stop, the Bicheno blowhole.
This part of the coastline around Bicheno is really awesome to see. It's a really rough and wild coastline with crazy waves and wind, and it's just honestly a really cool environment. And after having a good look around Bicheno, we continued further north in search of a campsite.
Alright, so we've managed to find a campsite. It's called, what's it called?
Lagoons Beach.
Alright, so we've managed to find a campsite. This is Lagoons Beach, which is a bit further north. It's actually past, I think, a town called Seymour. Further north than Bicheno. Bicheno. So yeah, you would have heard me mention how there's stuff all free camping around there. Well, we couldn't find anything, so we came a bit further north. We found this. There's just heaps of free camp spots along the beach here, along Lagoons Beach, and it's all pretty nice. So we collected some firewood on the way from the State Forest, and so we'll set up and we'll get a fire going. All right, so we just finished setting up camp. We've still got a bit of daylight. And there's an awesome little estuary here that runs onto the beach, which I want to have a bit of a fish of. So just got a little soft plastic on. We're going to go for a walk around, see if we can't muster something up.
With no luck in the estuary, I turned to the wild surf conditions, but had no luck there either, and I was freezing at this point, so I decided to head back to camp as we had a fair bit of cooking to do that night.
Alright, so it's time to make some dinner. It's very cold and we want to eat something warm, so we're going to be doing a Sri Lankan curry, but not just any Sri Lankan curry. We're going to be throwing a bit of a twist on it, a bit of a Tasmanian twist. So down here in Tassie, what we've noticed, every single grocery store you walk into, no matter how big or small it is, every single one of them, you can buy wallaby. So I've never had wallaby. Have you ever had wallaby?
No.
Yeah, Sian's never had wallaby either. So we're going to throw wallaby in the curry and we're just going to see how it turns out. So we've got a bunch of ingredients. Wallaby, which is actually surprisingly cheap, only $20 a kilo, it's not too bad, and a bunch of veggies as well. And we're just going to sort of start throwing some things together, and hopefully it turns out all right. So we'll see how we go. All right, so our first step is to prep our vegetables. So we're going to start peeling some potatoes, and Sian's going to start dicing some things up too. Now, take note, Sian is a much better cook than I am. She actually knows what she's doing, so it gives me a lot more hope that this will actually turn out decent.
I wouldn't speak too soon.
All right, so to cook this stuff, we're going to be using the trusty camp oven, which I actually bought myself a canvas bag for, which is kind of neat and nifty.
You did, didn't you? Yeah,
so that's new, which is kind of cool. So yeah, camp oven. I'm going to go whack this on some coals from the fire, get it warmed up, because we've got to sort of get a few of these veggies cooking first before we add everything into the one pot.
All right, so first we're going to put the onion in and brown that off a little bit. So next up, we're going to add our wallaby. Ooh, listen to that.
An almighty thud.
Another minute, then we can add the other veggies in the sauce. Okay, cool. So now the wallaby is sealed. We're going to add the rest of our veggies. All right, so now I reckon we can add our sauce. So at home, I'd probably normally make up my own, but seeing as we're camping, it's kind of easier than buying all the spices just to use a ready-made sachet like this. We will add this, and we might need to add a bit of water because we do have a lot of veggies in there. It looks like peanut sauce from Thai food. Satay sauce.
Peanut sauce.
Satay sauce, you know, you get with roti. So good.
All right, so our curry is cooking away. And in the meantime, we've got more cooking to do. So we're actually having a 2-course meal tonight. We're very hungry, or at least I am. So we're going to also be making a rhubarb and apple crumble.
Yeah.
which I think is going to be pretty sick. I've never made dessert before while in the bush. This is going to be
Really?
a first. No, I haven't. So
Okay.
it looks pretty basic. We've got apple, rhubarb, we've got some just oats, some white sugar and some flour. Sian's obviously done this before, I haven't. And she's going to show us the way and I'm just going to help with what I can. So yeah. And Sian's just informed me we need butter too, which we bought as well. So butter's going in.
Now the first step, like most meals, is to dice up our fresh ingredients.
So our next step will be to start stewing this, but we are going to wait until we eat dinner. So obviously give our stomachs some time to, you know, process the food because we do have a lot to eat. So once we've had dinner, we can start stewing this stuff. Pour. So our curry's ready. You probably could let it reduce a tiny bit more, but we wanted to make sure we didn't overcook the wallaby too much because I'm assuming as it is being, you know, like kangaroo, wallaby, all that sort of stuff, it's already quite, can be a little bit more gamey and tough. So we don't want to overdo it. So as it is, it should be fine. All the moisture will absorb in with the rice and stuff anyway. So yeah, I reckon it is time to serve up. All right, curry is served.
Yum.
So let's see how it tastes, hey?
What do you reckon?
That's yum.
Yeah? Very gamey.
I reckon that's cooked well, personally. I don't reckon that's too tough. I've eaten some tough. Sounds really bad. I've eaten some tough meat before, and I reckon that's pretty good. All right, we're gonna sit here and enjoy this. All right, so we just finished enjoying our lovely wallaby curry. It was good, but we had to make sure to leave room for some special apple and rhubarb crumble. So my stomach's pretty much brimming, but we're gonna get this on the cook anyway. And then by the time this is done, we should have had a bit of time to sort of, our stomachs to settle. So anyway, so what's first step?
All right, so first of all, we want to stew our fruit.
Yeah, so we've already diced this, so that's easy. Using the camp oven again.
Spilt it all on the ground. So we want to put like a little bit of sugar, like a tablespoon, and a bit of lemon juice as well, because we don't want it too sweet. And then we'll just cook that up until it's nice and soft.
And this is just going straight on the fire. Perfect, let's do it.
Let's stew this fruit.
All right, so while our apple and rhubarb is stewing, we're going to start prepping the mix for the crumble, which is very basic. So Sian, run us through it.
All right, so basically we are going to use equal parts of sugar, oats, and plain flour.
Just like how much? Only needs to be a thin layer on top, doesn't it?
Yeah, thinner it is, the nice and more crispy it'll be. It's time for sous chef to work his magic. So you just want to use your fingertips, kind of rub the butter into the dry ingredients.
And get it everywhere in the process.
Yeah, you want to mix it evenly so it's kind of like breadcrumb almost texture. All right, so we've just transferred it to a smaller pan. The camp oven was a little bit too big and wide for it, so we're ready to add the crumble. So you basically just want to sprinkle the crumble on top.
Nice thick crust, that's what I like.
And then you just want to make sure it's spread evenly across the fruit. And then we'll put a lid on with some coals and hopefully it gets nice and golden.
All right, so it's been about 40 minutes. I think we're ready to finally check this and hopefully we have a nice sort of golden crust on top. So we'll soon find out. Yeah, I reckon that's pretty good. I don't think it's going to get any better than that. So let's pull it off and eat this thing. Oh, this looks bloody magnificent. All right, so our crumble's ready. Now, the one thing I forgot to buy, is my fault. I forgot to buy cream. Cream would be ace with this. So instead we've got vanilla yogurt, so I'm going to use some of that. So yeah, I'm really keen to see what this looks like. Oh, it is nice and crumbly though. Oh, that actually looks killer.
Have more, there's heaps to go around.
Yeah, there is. All right, I tell you what, for something you just cooked in a camp oven, that's pretty elite.
Hey, you haven't even tried it yet.
Yeah, I know. Right, that is yum.
Oop.
That is, the crumble on top has cooked real, like it's crunchy, crispy, like it's all one layer. It's like a crust. Yeah, it's turned out perfect. That's wicked. So we're gonna go enjoy this, but what a night of cooking. An awesome main meal. You know, the wallaby curry. Then we've topped it off with a bit of the homemade apple crumble. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It really doesn't get much better than that out in the bush. So probably wouldn't have been this good though if I didn't have Sian with me. So yeah. Anyway, we're gonna go sit down and enjoy this and we're probably gonna go to bed after that. So we'll catch you all in the morning.
The next morning continued with more good cooking, followed by us jumping on the road and heading further north towards St. Helens.
Alright, so had a quick poke around St. Helens, and now we're going to move on to our camp for the night. So there's heaps more free camping stuff up north towards the Bay of Fires, which is sort of pretty much where we're coming into. So looks like a pretty good campsite, sort of on the beach there. So we'll see what it's like when we get there, and then I reckon we'll just chill out for the afternoon and do some more fishing. Oh, I will anyway. Try and actually catch something.
Luckily for us, finding a camp wasn't an issue, being the time of year there weren't too many others around, so we could pull up to pretty much any spot we liked.
Alright, so it's that time again. We've set up camp, we've got a bit of time before darkness. I'm going to try catching a fish, do some more fishing. I'm going to fish off the rocks here. It's just not far from camp, which is nice and easy. So I got the wobbler on and we're just going to go cast for a bit, see what happens.
But despite all my best efforts, I had no luck once again, so I had to do the walk of shame back to camp and try again the next morning.
Alright, it's the next morning. It's bloody freezing, but it looks like it's going to be a cracking day. Not really any cloud in the sky. And the tide is on its way down. It's about half what it was yesterday and it's still getting lower. So we're going to walk out to the beach here, have a look, have a flick around. I'm determined to catch a fish. So we'll see how we go. Can already see a bit of a difference in having a lower tide. Water's definitely not as high as it was yesterday. And yeah, it's still got a little bit to go down as well. So we're going to walk out to this tip. I actually spoke to an old fella yesterday and he said where I was, I got Buckley's hope, and he said, go around here, go fish off here in the channel. So that's what we're going to do. I'm not usually one to jump out of the water because it's too cold, but that is actual ice. Like, just, I was in there for 30 seconds and I already can't feel the whole bottom half of my leg.
So after some more unsuccessful fishing, we quickly packed up as I had some cool four-wheel driving planned for today.
Alright, we're out again. We just left camp. That was a good little campsite. It was cold though. So now we're actually heading back through St. Helens because I was looking on maps last night and I found that there is an area on the opposite side of the heads with some dunes and a beach you can actually drive on. So I thought that'd be pretty fun. So we're going to quickly shoot around there and do that. And yeah, go check it out. Alright, so we're just coming into Perrin Dunes, which is a designated off-road vehicle area. And because of the time of year we're in, we've got full reign of the whole area, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm keen to drive that. I haven't driven on sand in a while, so I'm keen.
So with the tyres aired down to 18 PSI, we were ready to go and rip around on the sand.
Oh, I can see the beach.
Oh, we're on the beach.
We're on the beach.
Driving on sand.
It's the first time for Sian on the sand, so I'll let her have a drive at some point, which should be fun. And perfect because it's low tide as well. So we've got the perfect time as well, low tide at midday today. So we'll have a chance to play around, which will be sick. So there's some inland tracks sort of that take us to the dunes. The beach is pretty soft at the moment and I don't really want to risk getting caught out. So I'm going to take the inland tracks instead. Oh wow, that is soft. Oh, that is very soft.
Well,
Gotta make sure we can get back out of here. And I reckon we're going to try send it onto the beach very carefully. We're at an entrance to the beach. I think it looks alright. The entrance is a bit, I can always go lower, maybe at 20 PSI, but I reckon we're just going to send it because I want to get down to the dunes. So let's do it.
God.
Oh, it's actually alright. Alright. We're still not at full low tide yet either, so we've still got the water going out further and I can still go lower on pressure, so it gives you a fair bit more confidence. That's alright, we're doing alright. This gives me the confidence to be able to drive back again and know we can make it. Oh, here we go.
Oh, look at that.
Alright, made it off the beach. Didn't get stuck. Thank God. And now we're in the playground, essentially. This is the fun bit. It reminds me heaps of now that I've been to a few different dune places like Robe and Beachport and stuff, and like Fraser and some stuff on New South Wales, it's hard to see how similar all these environments are, but they're just in different places around the country. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Up here, we've got a lovely day for it. And yeah, it's wicked to be out here.
Sean was eager to get behind the wheel of the patrol and give it a bash around, and I was a little bit hesitant, but I figured this is probably the best spot she can learn.
And rather than swing wide, just go more straight.
Like straight up? Like...
Straight up to where our last bit we got stuck. And we know that there's not a drop off over the other side, so we can go over.
Okay.
So, alright, go for it. Go third. Yeah. Good job. Just being very careful of edges and things. Let's give it a bit of stick up there. What are you gear you in?
Third. Oh no!
As you can see, Sean is having way too much fun driving the patrol around. It really is a great spot to learn to drive in the sand.
And reverse. This is fun though.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when you're having this much fun, it can be very easy to get too excited.
Oh, be careful.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's why I gotta mean, you gotta watch out for...
Yeah.
So after Sean made me a little nervous in the passenger seat, I decided it was time for me to get back behind the wheel and get off the dunes.
Alright, now the interesting bit, to get out of the dunes, back to the main drag, we have to go back along the beach, which is the scary bit. So, what did you think of your first sand driving experience?
It's good, it's hard, like, to not.
One, it's hard because you're in a car that you don't really know how to drive, and two, it's hard because you're in sand.
And it's a lot heavier than my car is.
Yeah.
And I'm not used to the low range gears as well, like.
Yeah, low range makes the car drive very differently.
Yeah.
I might have a quick look in here. Try through all the seaweed.
There's so much seaweed.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no. Get out of there, get out of there.
Do not get bogged in the seaweed. Oh, it smells.
Do not get bogged in the seaweed. Holy, that was scary.
It stinks.
Not coming up here. I've doused the car in seaweed. Is there a car wash in St. Helens? I hope so.
We'll find one.
We actually might need one, to be honest.
It smells so bad.
Because that's not good for the car.
Ooh.
Oh my god. Seaweed everywhere.
It's raining seaweed.
Liam, you idiot. I just doused the car in seaweed. Brother, ugh. That's gross. I'm definitely finding a car wash and washing that off, because can't have that sitting on the car. It'll cook it.
So after having our fun on the beach, we decided it was time to head back inland via the inland tracks and some obstacles along the way and head towards St. Helens. Now, luckily for me, there was in fact a car wash in St. Helens, which if there wasn't, I definitely would have been feeling pretty sorry for myself. And with the car clean, we continued heading further north in search of a lunch spot.
Alright, we're heading towards the Bay of Fires. We're just pulling up to have lunch. This is Janet Beach. And it's so pristine. Like, the water, it's so blue and nice. In summertime, this place would be absolutely unreal. I'm almost tempted to jump in.
This was the perfect little spot to make ourselves some nice fresh lunch, and then we could enjoy the scenery.
I'll tell you what, these beaches are the sand's like pristine, white, like something you'd see up in the Hamilton Islands or something like that. And the water is like crystal clear. Yeah, it's awesome.
I honestly could not get over how spectacular and pristine the beaches were here. It was nothing like what I expected to find at this far south, and I'm sure these beaches rival some of the best in the world.
I was just thinking to myself, because it hasn't been noticeable enough for me to think about, but I thought it's worth mentioning. So obviously, I've got the rooftop tent and an awning on the roof now, which I think is honestly about 100 kilos all up, probably even a little bit more. I can't remember the exact specs on the tent and the awning, but there's about an extra 100 kilos up there anyway. And honestly, in terms of the driving of the car, I haven't, like, it hasn't been noticeable enough for me to be like, oh, it's way more toppy now. Like, if you really throw the car around, yeah, you can feel that tiny bit extra weight up there, but in terms of like just driving around, I wouldn't even, yeah, it doesn't really feel that much different. So yeah, something worth noting anyway. And I can adjust because I got the adjustable shocks, the F4Rs, I can adjust the rear ones anyway. I haven't actually experimented with it yet, but I can play around with turning up the low speed compression just so on those, you know, corners and stuff, it's less likely to tip side to side. So that's something I'll have to play around with in the future.
As we headed further north, we stumbled across a campsite that can only be described as magnificent and was far too good to pass up, so we set up our gear for the night.
I'll tell you what, I reckon this is one of the best campsites I've ever stayed at, full stop. So wait till I show you.
This little gem is called Sloop Reef Campground and is found just north of Binnelong Bay in the Bay of Fires. And I can honestly say that this campsite would have to be one of the best that I have ever stayed at.
So being in the Bay of Fires, the thing that it's known for is all these massive boulders and rocks, which I believe are granite, and some of them have this really red tinge to them, and this bay is no exception. So there's just rocks all around. The water is like crystal clear blue, like, and not to mention the weather today is absolutely awesome. Not a cloud in the sky, the ocean is calm as, can't wait to have a fish. Yeah, it's just unreal.
Now, I simply couldn't get over how good this spot was, but despite all this, I still had one thing on my mind.
Alright, so we've got to camp at a reasonable time again, luckily. And that means I got time to go for one last try at a good fish. And this spot, oh holy, it looks amazing. So I'm gonna fish off the rocks down here, over this weed edge bed. Yeah, fingers crossed we come back to something this time, we'll see.
Now, sometimes even if you're not catching fish, just being able to do something like this in a place like this is all worthwhile.
Alright, so I fished around the rocks for a good hour without any sign of life, which isn't great. But I think at this point you just have to call it is what it is. So rather than use the whole afternoon to potentially catch nothing, I'm just gonna go sit back at camp with Sean and just enjoy it. Watch the sun go down, I reckon.
Camping spots like these and fantastic weather really make the rooftop tent shine, and you can just see the views out the side of the tent are awesome.
Now this campsite was kind of one of those ones where we didn't intend on being in this particular spot. We actually were maybe thinking of going a bit further north to suss out the Bay of Fires a bit further up, but it's sort of one of those spots and it's too good to go past sort of thing. So, you know, to really just enjoy the last night of our night in Tasmania, because we are back on the Spirit of Tassie tomorrow afternoon. We just thought we'd kick it here. It's a pretty awesome spot. There's no one here, so we're just enjoying it while we're here.
So we sat and watched the sun dip back behind the mountains, sat around the campfire, enjoyed some locally caught fish, not by me, and then settled in for the night. The next morning we were into it early as we had to pack up and get on the road and leave enough time to get ourselves to Devonport in the afternoon. But before we could leave and we were still on the coast, there was one last thing that I wanted to do.
Alright, so because I haven't found the ocean yet and I really want to, yeah, it's like not even 10 degrees and it's probably stupid, but I don't know, I just have to swim in the ocean, so I'm just going to quickly go in, rinse myself and jump out. Why not?
Now, as I'm sure you could imagine, the water at this time of year down in Tasmania is absolutely freezing, but this was not going to stop me from getting in.
Start, please. Alright, so that was obviously cold. Probably not as bad as I thought actually, but the water here is probably the nicest water I reckon I've just about ever seen. It's like crystal clear, see right through it. It's like awesome turquoise blue colour. Yeah, it's just fantastic. Alright, so we've left the coast, left the Bay of Fires, and we're heading inland because today, sadly, is the day where we have to head home back in the Spirit of Tassie. It's cool to be back in the hills though, it's pretty nice scenery. But it's funny how as soon as we've come back inland, the weather has started getting worse. It's already raining again. Hopefully we get a chance, we'll stop a few places along the way and yeah, work our way to Devonport. All right, so we're going to check out Halls Falls, which is on our way through. And it's like a man-made sort of waterfall. It falls from a man-made weir back in the 1800s. Yeah, it was 19th century. So yeah, we'll go check it out. So that was pretty cool. Look at a little weir. We're gonna walk the trail back. We're kind of on slight time crunch. We don't have heaps of time to look around at things. Gotta make sure we don't miss the boat. So we're gonna walk back and keep moving along. All right, so we just stopped in Scottsdale on our way through. We stopped at a bakery and I've gone for another scallop pie, but this one isn't a curry and scallop, it's scallop mornay. So it's like a creamy sauce and it tastes a lot more like scallop. So yeah, if you like scallops, yeah, good pie.
Now, it's always sad when you have to start to make your way back home, but I'm just so stoked that we got to come here and do this trip. It was just absolutely awesome.
All right, so we made it back to Devonport and we've just jumped in the queue to get back on the Spirit of Tasmania. We'll probably be waiting here for, I don't know, a good 15 minutes or so. But yeah, that's the end of the trip. So I really enjoyed it. I don't know about you, Sham, I had a great time.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
Yeah, and I think like as soon as we got away from the coast, the weather has turned shocking. So it's actually been a good time to sort of get out. And considering the time of year and where we are, I think I have to count ourselves really lucky for the weather we had, because we had there was like 1 or 2 days there of rain, but other than that, we had some fantastic weather. So yeah, it was a really good trip all around. What was the favourite part of the trip? What was the favourite thing you saw?
Oh, that's hard. I think I just like the East Coast in general. Like,
Yeah.
Both Freycinet and Bay of Fires they're just so pretty. Like,
The East Coast is very nice. Looks probably the best.
Yeah.
And probably some of the best camp spots we had along there too. So yeah, it's definitely an awesome place. So if you're thinking of coming to Tassie, come and do it, because I mean, I reckon if I could do it again, I'd do it in February. That's my advice. Try to do it in February, even though it's probably the busiest. But yeah, definitely come down and suss out Tassie. It's a good one. I'm sure I'll be back at some point with Paddy. But yeah, that's the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little trip video of ours. If you liked the video, make sure you leave a like and comment down below what you thought. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.